MSMEs. It's a unique organization, primarily aiming to support India's growth through banking for the MSME sector. So India's growth story cannot move forward without micro, small and medium enterprises, and therefore the role of SIDBI becomes all the more important. Today's launches are therefore tailored to address the real needs of the MSMEs. The real needs such as easier credit, better machines, modern technology, rural enterprise support, and also stronger market linkages. So with all these kept in mind, SIDBI has come about with some specific tailor-made approaches which can help the beneficiaries or the MSMEs. So the three important initiatives which have been launched, I'd like to recall them. First is the SIDBI RRB co-lending platform. This will combine SIDBI's MSME financing experience, the technology, with the grassroots reach of the regional rural banks. This was said, it was also shown in the video that we saw, but it is worth underlining this point. In the process of wanting to develop institutions which can support economic activity, at various times since 1947, in India, you've had institutions set up by the government. SIDBI is one such, 1990s. And the regional rural banks have existed, being sponsored by the bigger banks, sponsored by also somewhat participating some states, and so on. So the RRBs were going with the rural environment and rural economy in mind. SIDBI-like institutions are being set up with a particular sector or area of activity in mind. They've run parallelly. But it was one very random thought of why not have the synergy created between the two, and that is why that idea of co-lending came about. It will certainly help the MSMEs in rural and semi-urban areas, and they can now get better, faster and more formal credit. The platform will also use an STP-based digital joint lending model and aims at faster MSME credit access in rural and semi-urban areas. The second initiative, the modernization of rural enterprise, very attractively acronymed MORE program. This will support rural and non-farm enterprises. And the SIDBI CMD was explaining to me before I came here that, as was shown in the video, small units in rural areas, such as the jaggery making unit, these are examples. They are not confining themselves only to those activities. So the jaggery making units, oil expellers, pottery and flour mills, and also brass artisans. The aim is to provide better machines, better quality, safer working conditions, lower energy cost and better market access. So MORE as a cluster-based intervention for rural non-farm enterprises with support for energy-efficient technologies, solar PV, micro mini grids, and also access to capital. Look at the various important pegs on which the activity is going to be weaving itself around: sustainable growth, green growth, making sure sustainability and green priorities reach the smallest of units which so cannot afford to put money on these heads. They would rather have better efficient raw material procurement and get going. But on these things where there is a national commitment to improve green industries, this initiative can play a very important role. The third one is the SIDBI MSME Exchange Machinery Portal. Many small entrepreneurs want to expand, but they do not know which machine to buy, where to buy it from, and how to finance it. This portal will bring machinery discovery and institutional finance together on one platform. I think this way, many of the small entrepreneurs need not struggle to find which is the best fit of machines for their purpose. How much would it cost? Is it competitive? Is it, out there in the market for everybody to see? And is he or she making the right decision for the right price? All this is enabled through AI, and it's a market where everybody participates without moving out from where they are. It's a beautiful use of technology, bringing in AI and making it available for the smallest of our economic machines, economic engines. So I really appreciate the initiative taken by SIDBI on this, because as was said earlier in the introductory video that we saw of SIDBI, the entrepreneurs, whoever designed it, I must say, they've done a very good job. Very punchy 2 lines for each of them. I want to grow, but I don't know where the money is, or I don't know how to go purchase a machine. Punchy questions. In a way, I think they have tailor-made it, knowing very well that they're going to launch this program today. This program actually answers those questions. The portal integrates machinery discovery, OEM access, and SIDBI financing support to accelerate MSME capital investment. Now, in this context, it's important for us to understand what government's initiatives have been or government support has been. I'm not going to talk long list of what we've done in the 12 years. We've done a lot in the 12 years. I'm not saying this with a sense of, oh, we've done this, but matter of fact, we needed to do it. We have done some. But during the West Asia crisis, in which situation, context, environment, or current contemporary reality in which we are living, I would want to highlight those activities that we've been undertaking. Actually, these launches are taking place at a time when the global environment is uncertain. All of us recognize that. The West Asia crisis not only is a diplomatic or a geopolitical issue. For businesses and common people, it can mean higher fuel cost, delayed cargo, costlier shipping, shortage of inputs, pressure on working capital, and uncertainty in export orders. Just imagine all of them coming together because of that West Asia crisis. What is the sense of uncertainty that small unit will feel, and will they be in a position to make some kind of a plan? It's a big challenge even for countries, not just for India, for many other countries. And in that context, therefore, what is the depth of challenge for those MSMEs? The approach, therefore, has been and will have to be to protect citizens, support MSMEs, safeguard exporters, keep supply chains moving, and maintain economic stability. And that is why Honorable Prime Minister giving a call to conserve foreign exchange as far as possible is very important in this context. I will dwell on that for a minute because that's led to a lot of narrative all around the country. We need to understand the context in which the PM made this call. It is because of high international crude prices, and the high crude prices are ever changing. It's seriously dynamic. one rate at one point in time, within a week another, within a week another, and so on. Like that it has been for over now 80-90 days. So high international crude prices and very fluctuating one, high international fertilizer prices, unimaginable increase in the fertilizer prices, high gold prices, that is creating some challenges on the external front. To just put it in context, all these three payments will have to be in foreign exchange. There is no rupee trading there. We should please understand the context of these three Fs. Three Fs: fuel, fertilizer, and foreign exchange. And the foreign exchange is for, in this context, purchase of gold. So we need to understand this, and we also should appreciate that the challenges are more external driven. We must also recognize that India's domestic economic situation remains positive and resilient even today. Therefore, those naysayers who jump into the scenario, as it were, and say, oh my God, you look around yourselves, it's all falling down, it's crumbling, it's going to hit you. There is a section, I would think, of Indians who very quickly want to decry the achievements of our own people. And therefore, for all the good that is being done by the common people themselves, that is forgotten. And a pessimistic, cynical narrative is generated, which is just not right. It's not right is one thing, but it is wrong because it is fear-mongering. India cannot afford fear-mongering. We need to give confidence to the people with our words and with our action. And that's what you're seeing at various levels, and today you're seeing it through SIDBI as well. So India continues with a robust economy. I'll give you data proof for it. GST revenues, which indicate economic activity, have remained strong even after rationalization, the rate rationalization which happened in September 25. Gross GST collections crossed 22 lakh crores for the year 25-26, rising 8.3%. The gross revenue year on year is 8.3% more, and that's not a small number. In these times of uncertainty, high frequency indicators also show broad-based domestic demand. I'll give you the data for April 2026, the first month of this financial year. Domestic wholesale tractor sales rose by 26%. Passenger vehicle domestic sales grew by 25%. Three-wheeler sales rose by 32%. Two-wheeler domestic sales increased by 28% year on year. New business premiums of life insurers rose by 39%. So with that, the healthy banking system is also supporting India's growth momentum. For the year 25-26, gross NPAs of public sector banks declined to 1.93%. Credit growth remained broad-based across retail, agriculture, and MSMEs, which grew by 18.1%, 15.5%, and 18.2% respectively. Retail, agriculture, and MSME. Corporate India's fourth quarter, FY26, that is, profit margin scaled highest level in 5 years. Investment activity, which normally all of us used to be talking about private sector investments. Are they slow? Are they not happening? Used to be a discussion. I have the CII's data. Investment activity saw visible changes. According to CII, India's private sector capital expenditure grew 67% in September 2025 year on year. How many? 67%. So we should recognize that the private sector investments are coming forward. GST collections, as I said, are rising. Formalization is deepening. Infrastructure activity remains steady across the country. The policy response has been very calibrated, and it is calibrated to absorb the shock where citizens and businesses are exposed, support MSMEs and exporters where working capital is under stress, and preserve the underlying growth momentum. During the budget session itself, and that is on 1st February itself, government provided over 1 lakh crore for the Economic Stabilization Fund. That was much before the Strait of Hormuz problem came, just to make sure that we are not caught by some unforeseen events. We had made the provision in the budget, and this was an emergency cushion created before the full impact of the West Asia situation, and so that India could respond quickly to global shocks, supply chain disruptions, and also sudden stress in any sector. For MSME exporters, credit guarantee support has been provided through the Credit Guarantee Scheme for exporters, and collateral support under the Export Promotion Mission is also being provided. This helps small exporters get formal credit even when they do not have enough collateral. It protects export orders, jobs, and foreign exchange earnings. When Indian export cargo, this is very important, when Indian export cargo was affected by disruption in West Asia shipping routes, customs procedures were simplified. Why did they have to be simplified? Exporters were allowed to bring back the cargo, reroute them or store them, and transship stranded cargo were also that way supported with fewer formalities. All formalities were brought down to the bare minimum. Rerouting, bringing back are all normally very, very painful exercises in terms of the rigors that they have to follow. Fees for amendment or cancellation of export documents were also waived in force majeure cases. This ensured that exporters were not punished for disruptions which were beyond their control. For micro enterprises, a special micro credit card provision has been introduced under the CGT MSC. That's what you saw today being distributed to the beneficiaries. I would have wanted it to be done even earlier because more than 12 months have passed, but never mind, we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Udyam registered micro enterprises can access revolving credit up to 5 lakhs backed by 75% guarantee coverage and without mandatory primary security. So the government has, since the day of Mudra, guided by Prime Minister's absolute commitment to ensure that the smallest of small businesses, which have no collateral strength, will be supported and will continue to be supported. So we didn't just do it for Mudra, we didn't just do it for that Swanidhi Swanidhi scheme. We didn't just do it for Vishwakarma. We are continuing to do it even now for the microcredit which is being given. This is an important step for shopkeepers, small manufacturers, and micro entrepreneurs who need timely working capital. As of March 2026, CGTMSE has approved 1.42 crore number of cumulative guarantees worth 13.67 lakh crores. 1.42 is the number of cumulative guarantees worth 13.6 lakh crores. Guarantee ceiling has been increased from 50 lakh to 10 crores with effect from 1st April 2025. Higher extent of guarantee cover of 90% is available for women entrepreneurs. So, to shield citizens, therefore, and businesses from the steep rise in global crude prices, central excise duty on petrol and diesel was reduced by 10 rupees per litre. The government is estimated to take a revenue impact of over 1 lakh crore on this one score in the year 26-27 because of this one decision. So the burden for a considerable period because of that reduction in excise duty had been taken away from the shoulders of the common people because government has foregone or taken the burden of 1 lakh crore rupees on its shoulders. To ensure domestic availability of fuel, export duty or cess was imposed on exports of petrol, diesel and aviation turbine fuel. So we are not allowing export because it's earning foreign exchange without attending to the domestic market's needs. In order to ensure that, we have imposed a duty on exports. This was done so that domestic consumers, transporters, airlines and businesses get supply stability to protect manufacturing supply chains. Customs duty exemption was granted on specified critical petrochemical products till June 2026, 30th June 2026. This supports sector such as plastic, packaging, textiles, pharmaceuticals, chemicals and automotive components. These are the sectors where many MSMEs are active. So even this support has been given for the sake of MSMEs and their raw material and intermediary product requirement. So to help SCZ units affected by global trade disruptions, a one-time SCZ relief window was also notified. Eligible SCZ manufacturing units were allowed to sell goods into the domestic tariff area at concessional customs duty, helping them utilize capacity and protect production. To support MSMEs, small businesses, traders, suppliers, and service providers facing working capital stress, the Union Cabinet has approved the Emergency Credit Liquidity Guarantee Scheme 5.0. The scheme targets additional credit flow of 2.55 lakh crores. That's the extent of the additional credit flow that we expect. With 100% guarantee coverage for MSMEs, once again, it will help businesses manage liquidity, protect jobs, and sustain supply chains. To keep maritime trade moving, because even that's facing a lot of challenges, the Bharat Maritime Insurance Pool has been launched with a sovereign guarantee of 1.4 billion US dollars. That's about 12,980 crore Indian rupees. This will help ensure continued insurance coverage for Indian linked vessels and cargo movement even during maritime uncertainty. The vision for SIDBI is something which I'd like to speak a minute about. They, after all, entering a very prime age of 37, and therefore, I'm sure they will be energetic enough to carry forward the vision. MSMEs contribute about 35% of manufacturing, 48% of exports, and 31% of GDP, with over 7.47 crore entrepreneurs. 7.47 crore entrepreneurs. I use entrepreneurs as entrepreneurs or slash enterprises. And they employ over 32 crore people in this country. In January 2026, the Union Cabinet approved an additional equity support of 5,000 crores to SIDBI. It will enable SIDBI to strengthen its balance sheet and add 25 lakh new MSME beneficiaries by the year 2028. Very clear vision. Very clear vision, and as I'm saying this, I can see that it is 25 lakh new MSME beneficiaries by 2028. Earlier I said that there are very high numbers of MSMEs in this country, and it is important for us to support them. This number, therefore, brings in a very big addition, which I think is critical for us. Where you had 7.47 crore enterprises, as of now, you're adding 25 lakh new MSME beneficiaries to the list by 2028. It's not some easy task, but at the same time, it's not a hazy or ambiguous target. Target is clear. By improving SIDBI's capital to de-risk their own exposure or to risk-weighted assets ratio, we are ensuring that the institution can raise lower cost funds and pass that benefit on to small entrepreneurs through wider, cheaper, and more accessible credit. I think, in a way, I would say it's good under this government, the Prime Minister's guidance. Institutions are getting very clear vision forward. It's there for you. It's presented with reason to you. It's also supported with resources by the government. I can only say this brings greater clarity for the entire SIDBI team. They're getting a target, they're getting the money, they're getting the government's vision put forward. It's because all of us have confidence in SIDBI. So SIDBI's role must now expand from being only a lender to becoming a market maker and risk-sharing partner for India's MSME and startup ecosystem. It's a beautiful vision. SIDBI should stop being in that comfort zone of I'm a lender to the small enterprises. You're now going to be the market maker. You're now going to be the risk-sharing partner for all the MSMEs and for the entire startup ecosystem. I also expect SIDBI to deepen the venture capital debt market for startups so that innovative enterprises have access to patient, flexible, and growth-oriented capital. There is a need to expand cash flow-based lending and digital lending partnerships. especially for micro and first-time borrowers. Delayed payments remain a critical challenge for MSMEs, with an estimated 8.1 lakh crore locked in delayed payments and affecting working capital and growth. So when I say this number, it's not a number just at the central government's doorstep. It's not a number which is pending payments of the public sector enterprises of Government of India. No, not at all. This is the total number. It can be a private entrepreneur too as MSME. It can be a commercial enterprise, a large one, which has dues to the MSME. It can be the state PSUs which have a due to the MSME. So let's be clear. This is a total figure. And even as I say this, I assure you periodically I review the public sector undertakings under the Government of India to make sure that they don't exceed the 45-day limit by which they have to pay the dues to the MSMEs. And they shall not be sitting over their dues. That is being done by us. So therefore, my message to SIDBI and to every banker here is that standard products cannot serve non-standard businesses. A farmer-linked enterprise does not earn every month. A resort does not earn evenly through the year. A garment exporter waits for payment after shipment. A small auto component supplier waits for invoice clearance. A woman entrepreneur may have regular transactions, yet no property in her name. Then, why should all of them be given the same repayment structure? This is where SIDBI must lead. Credit must be designed around the business cycle of the enterprise. For agri-processing MSMEs, say in Nashik, Satara, Sangli, Vidarbha, repayments can be linked to harvest cycles. A grape processor, turmeric unit, or a pulse mill earns when the crop comes. Their credit should allow seasonal repayment and off-season flexibility. For textile and garment units in Ichal Karanji or Solapur, credit must understand export cycle. If an order takes 90 days, finance should combine pre-shipment credit, post-shipment support, and currency risk protection. For tourism and hospitality enterprises in Mahabaleshwar, Matheran, Lonavla, loans should recognize seasonality. When earnings come in 4 strong months, repayment should breathe with that cycle. For contract manufacturers in Pune, Chakan, Nagpur, invoices can become the basis of finance. Threads and gem linkages and invoice discounting can ensure that a supplier does not suffer only because payment comes after 60 or 90 days. Maharashtra also has a strong base of defense MSMEs across Pune, Nagpur, Ahmednagar. Those enterprises, Ahmednagar, I think the name has changed. I'm saying Ahmednagar, it is called Nagar, but it has got a different name, I think. Sorry, those of you from Maharashtra. Ahilya Nagar, sorry. So, defense MSMEs across Pune, Nagpur, and Ahilya Nagar should also have a different treatment given to them. These enterprises need order cycle financing, technology upgradation loans, and working capital that understands long procurement cycles. SIDBI also should build strong green credit products. The world is moving towards green standards. MSMEs will need finance for solar rooftops, energy efficient machinery, green certification, and waste to wealth units. Today's initiatives already point in this direction. The SIDBI RRB co-lending platform will also make credit deeper into rural and semi-rural India. The MORE program will modernize rural enterprises. The SIDBI MSME Exchange Machinery Portal will connect machinery discovery with finance. Now, SIDBI should take this further. The aim should be to provide right credit for the right enterprise and at the right time for the right purpose. So I hope in the banking arena, SIDBI will show the path in which we will move in the right direction. That's how MSMEs will move from survival, and that's how MSMEs will move from survival to scale. So in conclusion, you've been very patient hearing me all the while. Let me close with a larger frame. Today, more than 32 crore Indians, as I said earlier, are employed in and through the MSME ecosystem. If we get MSME credit right, we get the Indian middle class right. If we get the Indian middle class right, we get Vikasit Bharat right. It is that direct. So don't you think about Vikasit Bharat somewhere, MSME somewhere else, and don't you think about we can do our banking the way we want and think all of them are disconnected. You're directly linked towards the vision that is Vikasit Bharat. It's not any one person or one leader's or one prime minister's vision. It's a vision for all of us Indians who within a generation are seeing transformational changes happening in this country, despite the naysayers. And we cannot undermine the move towards Vikasit Bharat. If anything, we should help it. So if we get the middle class right, as I said, we'll get Vikasit Bharat right. Everything that the government has announced, the equity infusion, the double guarantee cover, the SME growth fund, the TREDS reforms, the classification reforms, instruments for such as the corporate mitras, the credit cards, the stand-up scheme, every one of these instruments exist to answer a single question. And that single question is, how does India's MSME owner grow her enterprise without being held back by the cost of capital, the weight of compliance, or the gap between her and the customer? All those questions which were pertinently asked right at the beginning when you showed the video. So that's the question this government has committed itself to address, and it is that question the SIDBI on its 36-year completion, entering into 37th year, is being asked to answer with imagination. The support is being given. I want SIDBI to answer it with brilliant imagination. To every MSME owner in this room, the government is building the rails. SIDBI is being asked to build the imaginative products that turn and run on them. Our banks and our RRBs will carry them till the last mile. Your job is to build. I'm telling the MSMEs, your job is to build, to hire, to export, and to innovate. We are here to support you and back you. So congratulations, SIDBI, and the entire SIDBI family on your 36th Foundation Day. Jai Hind. Secretary DFS, CMDs of several of the public sector banks, the beneficiaries